right, hi, this is Dan Henk. This is another episode of the Skull Section of the podcast. And today my guest is how do you pronounce your name? D E McLusky?
Yeah, it's Dave. Just,
Okay.
yeah, you can pronounce Dave, can yeah.
Okay. I don't want
And
to
it's
screw it up. Yeah.
no, it's McClusky.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
rhymes with husky.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So you call yourself Dave McClusky most of the time, and like
yeah,
your author name is DM?
yeah. I use DE just in case I owe anyone any money. So
Get like a little fake show. I don't know if you have social security numbers in the UK, but you could probably get a fake social. Like I was dating a girl who went to the hospital after a show. She got like hit in the show, and she just gave him a fake social security number at the hospital, and they took her in and started her. Like she
yeah,
had the whole routine down. She didn't even have to think about it, so she'd obviously done it before.
happy days. That's what you need to do, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I can fake my own death.
Well, it worked. It works for her. So yeah.
Yeah, happy days. Well, so maybe I can come back as Diane Eileen McClusky. There you go. Yeah.
Right. Or you could just say, all right, well, that person that didn't pay his bills is not how I identify anymore. I identify as this guy who pays his bills.
Yeah. I identify as a cat. Yeah. Don't pay no bills, just live off everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the best way.
All right, so let's move aside from like the social scene for a minute. So you're a writer. How many books you have out right now?
That's a loaded question. I've got 15 novels, but that's over different genres. That's over horror, thriller, children's books. I've got 5 graphic novels, and I've got about 6 or 7 comics.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I do.
Is there one that
I've
you
wrote a bit.
prefer over the other?
No. Just you know what? I mean, I'm a massive fan of graphic novels. I grew up on them, absolutely and utterly, just like loved them. But the problem with them is that I can't draw. I mean, I know you're a fine artist. You're well known for it, but I couldn't draw a stick. Honest to God, if someone said draw a stick, it'd be like all over the place. So it costs me a fortune to do a graphic novel, and the returns on them just aren't fantastic. They're a little bit of a niche. Do you know what I mean? Because if you were like
Well,
say you were buying.
It is a weird niche market. Like I've done Comic Cons before, and what I do now is originally I would be a comic artist, but what I do now is I do illustrations of my books, and
Yeah,
trying to sell those at Comic Cons, people will be like, "Yeah, is it a graphic novel?" I'm like, "No, it's a book, but I have illustrations." I'm like, "Let me show you," and they're like,
yeah,
"Yeah, never mind." So unless it's a
yeah.
full blown comic book, they don't care.
They're not interested, and
Yeah.
especially they're not interested if it's not Spider-Man or
Well,
Thor
yeah,
or
they,
the
they
Hulk.
don't
Yeah,
care unless it's a full blown comic, and they also don't care unless it's something that relates to something they already know.
that they already know, that they've already
Yeah,
bought into. Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's it's so hard. I always say, if you say you were buying your dad a present, and you knew that he liked to read, would you buy him a novel or would you buy him a graphic novel? And nine
Right.
times out of 10, people are going to say I'd buy him a novel, because your our fella's going to sit there, your dad's going to sit there, and he's going to say, what have you got me a kid's book for? Even if it's not a kid's book, it's
Right.
still related to being, it's still got that niche of being a kid's market. So I love them. I absolutely adore them. As I say, I've got about 5 or 6 done, but they're a tough sell. They really are.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind my dad either because he's shit. But but what are the graphic novels that you have out?
I've got one called Doppelganger, which
Okay.
is a really, really dark psychological thriller, or horror/horror. It's about a guy who buys an ornate mirror and he hangs it on his office wall, and then all these mad things start happening to him. He starts having horrible dreams. He starts like being violent, but when he wakes up, he has only a peripheral memory of it all. So I've got that one. I've got one called, which is a horror comedy called Death Day Presents,
Okay.
which is one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. It's like the horror is in the background, where all these people are going mad and getting mutilated and ripped apart, while these three demons have infiltrated Earth and are just walking through Earth and completely oblivious to all this death and destruction that's going on behind them. So that's that one. I've got one called Ulf, which is a kids one, which is about Father Christmas's reindeers. No one dies in that one because my daughter would never speak to me again if I killed any of them reindeers. And then
well, when the animal dies to anything like John Wick or anything, I'm like, that guy's gonna die.
That's a good story. That's so Father Christmas go nuts because someone kills.
Yeah, I'm surprised John Wick. Like each movie is good. Like usually the first one is good and then they all kind of drop off. I've liked them all.
Yeah. Well, I've seen them all. I thought number 3 was the weaker of them all, but number 1 just blew me away because I never knew nothing about it.
Oh,
so when
awesome.
I just clicked on it, just clicked on it to watch it. Me and my missus, we said we'll just watch it, and we were just like, oh,
yeah,
fucking hell! It's just the amount of people he kills is boss. Yeah.
Well, everybody loves a good revenge story. So after they bust up his car and they kill his dog, you're like, you got it. You got it. It's coming.
Don't mess with someone's dog, man. No, absolutely. Yeah. Don't mess. Yeah.
That's one of the few things I might go to jail for if they mess with my dog.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little sausage dog, and it's like, if someone wants to mess with him, as long as they give me a few bob, you can have him. He just shits everywhere. And I wouldn't. I love the bones of him. Love the bones of him. Little bastard.
Yeah, dogs will piss you off so much, but then you just can't stay mad at them.
You can't, because they just give you the eye, don't they? They give you
and they look like I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. Like, all right, don't do it again.
Just don't do it again. Yeah. Oh,
that couch cost me $500, but okay,
He's got a thing for soft furnishings, our dog. He just likes to shit on soft furnishings.
Yeah. Or like what I've heard too is like when they tear up your stuff, it's because they miss you. So if it's 5 hours and you come back and you're like, what the fuck did you just do? It's like, well, they smelled like you, so they tore it apart. Well, that makes no sense.
or they give you a dirty protest for leaving them in on their own. Like, I was literally got the shop for 20 minutes. He's like, I don't care. I'm shitting.
Right. And protest. All my dogs would give me that guilty eye. Like if you come home and they didn't do anything, they're happy to see you, whatever. But if you come home and they fucked up, they're in a corner, like looking guilty. I'm like, what'd you do? What'd you do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Love it.
So going back to your graphic novels for a minute, is it all illustrated by the same person? Do you have different
No. Okay. No, I've got all sorts of different people to do it. The first one, Doppelganger, which was the very first one I ever did. The very first story I ever brought out, first book, is done by a guy called Lucas Marco, who's Polish.
Okay.
And then I did the Interesting Times ones, which were kids ones, and they were some guy from Scotland.
Okay.
And then the Death Day Presents, that's from a company over in India. So yeah, they're all over the place. Yeah. I've got one coming out called I can't even remember what it's called now.
That would help, right?
This is like I've got brain freeze now. But I've got a new one coming out, which is a little bit manga. It's called Dreamcatcher. That's what it's called.
Okay.
And the guy who's done that is from he's Malaysian. Okay. And he's done such a fucking good job of it. But it's so expensive to get done. You gotta do it in dribs and drabs.
Well, how do you find these guys?
How does anyone find guys these days? That's
a loaded question,
isn't it? It's like don't get embarrassed. Don't. Your missus will be listening in. No, it's just from. I've been doing it for a while now. I've been doing it for like nearly 10 years, novels and graphic novels. So I've kind of got a bit of a database of people who who can do cover art, or know who could do graphic novel art, or know who could do like sort of sketching and stuff like that. So, but initially, I found a website years ago called Deviant Art.
Oh, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gone big since, but when I first found it, there was only like it was tiny. And I used to have like a boss forum page, and you could just used to like put out there what you wanted, and and sort of price out
And
stuff.
people get a hold of you and you look at their art and see if you like it. Yeah.
Yeah,
They have
so
a version now. Like DeviantArt is kind of on the decline. They have something called ArtStation. It's like
all right.
a little bit more European based, but like I have portfolios in both DeviantArt and ArtStation, and people hit me up all the time at ArtStation to do a graphic novel for them. The problem is a lot of people were like, yeah, I just need you to draw it. I'll write it. It'll be a huge success. And I'll pay you after I get paid. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. Now, you see, it took me a while to figure that out, but I actually, just like, when I very first started, I started with graphic novels. So I thought, yeah, I'll write one graphic novel. I'll be fucking rich. I'll be happy days. Everyone will be like, oh, look at what Dave can do. And I said, and then I was like that to the artist. And then I will get you as famous as me. And then I was thinking, nah, it doesn't work that way, does it? Because graphic novels, most people are looking at the artwork as opposed to reading the story.
Right.
So that, I learned that the tough way, but I'm down with it, and yeah, I understand, and that's why my graphic novels and my comics are few and far between now, because it's just so difficult. It's so difficult. It really is.
Well, it actually, if you get a really good artist, like there are like mediocre artists, and there are artists that have a more simple style, even though they're good artists. Like I think Jack Kirby, who's like famous for like Captain America and stuff like that, he crank out like 6 comic books a month.
Yeah.
Like at the height of his like prowess or whatever. For me, it takes me like 3 days just to do 1 page.
Yeah. Well, it's so detailed. It's so I mean, because if you think about it, you've got 6 panels to each page minimum. Well, you haven't done a minimum, but you know what I mean. Like on average, about between 4 and 6 panels each page, and that's 4 detailed pictures, 4 or 6 detailed pictures per panel, and that's 1 page. So I completely understand where the artists are coming from, where they, it's a tough job.
Well, the other thing is you gotta pay your bills while you're working on this stuff. Like I was doing it for a long time. I was like for months. I was doing album covers for bands, and the problem is like bands would get signed, and then they ask me to the album cover, like, oh, we love your art, do album cover. So and they're pretty particular. So like you do a sketch, and then a watercolor sketch, and then a full on oil painting. So finally, after all this investment, buying all these materials and stuff, you go, hey, can I get at least some of the payment so I can pay my rent? And they go, oh, talk to label. So then you talk to label. Label goes, we give them in advance. Part of that advance is to pay for the cover art. So then I have to contact them again. And they go, oh, we didn't know. We already spent that. And then you're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
So, exactly. Yeah, because Costco doesn't take exposure, does it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah. It's like, let me pay my rent off promotion, because people all the time go, oh, promotion. And I'm like, promotion credits don't go that far.
Yeah. Because it's not like, I mean, back in the, like, people always think, it works like the artists have got like thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds, and they haven't. But when they do get the money, they spend that money because basically they're fucking artists at the end of the day, aren't they? I'm on about musicians. So
well,
they
a lot of them are
like
living in like they're living in like poverty. They don't have a car. They're living in a group house. They're like, I got some money, and they just blow it.
Yeah. It's like Motley Crue all over again, isn't it? All right, like the film The Dirt. Yeah, you can see the fact that like they were all thick as fuck, and all of a sudden they just got like loads of money.
Did you read the book, The Dirt?
I did. Oh, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's one of the only books I've ever given 5 stars to.
I like the book better than the movie, but I really like that the book is not written by them. It's like written by like one of their writers or whatever. So he calls everybody out.
Oh fuck yeah! But it's like it's written by like the third party that like the fifth member of Motley Crue. Yeah, such a good
about,
book.
like, Nikki Sixx, like, you know, locking his girlfriend in the closet, like burning her with a crack pipe, and like, you know, just all sorts of crazy shit. And like the bastard beating up on Vince Neil all the time just because he's an asshole.
But I just like they're all banging each other's girlfriends and stuff like that. It's madness. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And then, like, what was it? Like, I think Nikki Sixx and Ozzy had like a contest to see who was more fucked up, and like, you know, so. And then Nikki Sixx, I think at one point he ends up pissing on the ground, and Ozzy snorts a piss.
Ozzy, yeah.
It's like, all right, you know, I can't match that.
Yeah.
Or
maybe... no one's ever going to beat Ozzy Osbourne for that shit. You know what I mean? Ozzy Osbourne is my ultimate favorite rock star. I mean, like, and everybody's I reckon, but fucking hell, if you some of the stuff that he got into. I always love like the story about when Randy Rhoads died,
right?
And Ozzy Osbourne went off on one, and he disappeared for like a week, and his missus was looking for him, and she was all over the place. And he turned up back at home, and he'd shaved his hair off, and he was completely covered in purple paint, and he had no idea where he'd been, and where he got the purple paint from and stuff like
That's
that.
Great.
It was just like knocking on the door. I'm home, and he's just completely purple with no hair. Fabulous. But,
you know, like Black Sabbath is pretty much accepted. They started metal as we know it.
Yeah.
But you know that like that heavy sound that like Tony Iommi had was because he's missing his fingertips.
Yeah, in a welding accident when he was an apprentice. Yeah.
Well, he was like I think he got a little bit past that. I think he was working at some manufacturing company, and they got signed. And right after they got signed, it was his last day, and he was kind of like not paying attention, and he lopped off the tips of two of his fingers. And he was like, "Oh fuck, what am I gonna do?" So he made like these fake little things to like put on the tips, and he loosened the strings, and that gives it that sound.
Proper bassy,
which is now iconic. Yeah.
I mean, Black Sabbath are one of my all-time favorites. They really are. I say one band I've never been to see in any incarnation. I've seen Ozzy 1,000,001 times, but I've never seen Black Sabbath as Black Sabbath.
Right.
Yeah,
they might get back to. They keep getting back together, then they break up again, and they get back to who knows. But I'm surprised that you know, you probably didn't get like a little bit more like positive response to your graphic novels, because like you know, there's so many great authors that came from it, like you know, Alan Moore came from there. You know,
Alan Moore is the reason why I write graphic novels, because The Watchmen is just I become spelled word bound. Like I can't talk about how fucking good that graphic novel is.
It's great.
Just phenomenal. Yeah, there's that, and then there's From Hell. Oh, and you know.
Oh, he did so much good stuff. Like his early run of Swamp Thing is great, because he took like this mediocre, about to be canceled character, and he made it a bestseller by just making it like psychological horror. And like, plus he lucked out. He got like this great art team that was like right out of college. It's like, that's actually my favorite art team. They heavily inspired me. But he did like, you know, they're like really well told horror stories, you know, like one after another. Yeah, they're great. But
and then he did the he moved on. He moved on from that, didn't he? And then started doing the action one for the League of Gentlemen as well.
He's done a lot. I wasn't as into the League of Gentlemen because, like, I remember he did Captain Britain, which was amazing. He did Watchmen, which is amazing. You know, he did the Swamp Things, which were amazing. And then it felt like with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, it was kind of like he was like softening it up a little bit. So like for like I don't even know if it was for a more mainstream audience because I don't think Alan Moore really cares about that stuff.
No,
But
he's as far from mainstream as you can get.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think it was just like his approach on it because I don't think he was like as deeply involved. Like with Swamp Thing, he was deeply involved. He wanted to create a character, he wanted to
yeah,
create a
yeah.
story,
Well,
he wanted to create a feel.
yeah,
It,
he completely turned it around, didn't he, and made it his.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was started like Bernie Wrightson and Lynn Wine first started, but it was like more of like kind of a modern version of Frankenstein almost,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then Alan Moore made like a plant elemental and like it's a plant that thinks a human and like he did all this like deep dive into psychology. I thought it was awesome.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely superb. I mean, as I say, he's the man. He's the
Oh
man
yeah,
for
yeah.
graphic novels. But I was at a Comic Con once, and I never got to meet him, but
Oh,
I saw him, and he was there, and the whole day. Apparently, he's notoriously awkward, and apparently the whole day. Well, I mean, I kind of watched him for a little bit, and he just didn't speak to no one. He just refused to fucking talk to anybody because he's just like he's
I
just so
believe it.
anti-establishment and
Oh, I
anti
believe it. Yeah.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
I couldn't like in high school. I couldn't decide if I wanted to be an artist or a writer, and then I read Watchmen, and I was like, "Wait, you can do both."
you can
You
do
know?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's amazing. And I remember one of the things I did as a writer was he has a seminar. It was like I listened to the audio version. I don't even know if there's like a written text version, but I listened to like it was a 6 hour seminar, and actually he has some great points on writing and what he goes for. He's a little bit more OCD than a lot of people. Like with the Watchmen, he built a whole New York so you could plan. If you're on this corner, this is what you see, and
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. His vision was just. I mean, especially with that whole story, because it just turned superheroes on its head, didn't
oh
it?
yeah.
It's like the film as well. I mean, I know he notoriously hated the film, but I always say the film was the best superhero film that should never have been made
Well,
because
I
it
think it
was
would have been a great series, like on Netflix. So if they did like a whole season, they could
yeah,
actually tell what was going
yeah.
on. But
But yeah, the thing is though, is that it was billed as like when they had the Night Owl, and it was billed like the new Batman, and so like a load of my mates went to see it thinking it's Batman, and they all came out like that. Fucking hell, that was awful. And I was like, whoa! I was like, oh my god, that was so good. Yeah,
see, if you read the original work, then you're like, well, it's a
then you're
picture
down with
show
you.
of the work. Like I
It's
saw
a
with my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, ah, it's okay. I was like,
yeah.
did you read the original
Did
Watchmen?
you
She was like, no.
no?
I'm like, so
It's
yeah.
a Yeah, it was a fanboy film, really, wasn't it? It was made for the fans, but yeah, for us nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also like I mean, there's so many great like right now, Garth Ennis is blowing up everything with like the
yeah.
boys. So I would think that like anything out of Britain would get a heavier look than what you're doing. You're saying that your graphic novels, people kind of just like you got a mediocre response to them.
It's very mediocre. Now, if I'm there at a Comic Con or I'm at an event and I've got some of the graphic novels and comics on my table, the people are really interested in them, and they'll buy the copies. I've got them also on Kindle, and you know what? If I see like 7 or 8 page reads of one of my comics, I'm like, oh my word, I can't believe it. Just nobody's interested in them. It's just crazy. I don't know whether that's because I'm known more for my novels now, and people just go for the novels,
Well,
or they
it's
don't realize I do
weird.
graphic
You
novels.
can do something high quality and like there's that one thing that sparks it and all of a sudden like Guns N' Roses came out and they were like they were a loss. They were a no seller for like a year. And then
Yeah, yeah,
MTV at the request of the label, agreed to play Appetite for Destruction one time at midnight and that blew them up.
blew it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
Rob Zombie when he did Thunder Kiss 65, Beavis and Butt like it was out for like a year, and then Beavis and Butthead made a joke about it and suddenly he blew up.
They blew
So
up. Yeah,
yeah, so
it's
you need
crazy, isn't
that
it?
one thing.
Yeah, it's mad. It's madness that
Yeah.
you have to have you know, as I say, the one thing that I mean, I've just did it now to be fair, because I've got like 15 novels, as I said before, but the one novel that I brought out earlier this year has like outstripped every other novel I've written for the last like nearly like 6-7 years. It's just,
What you just come out with?
I come out with a graphic novel, a psychological thriller called The Boyfriend, and it's dark and it's heavy and it's graphic and it's brutal. I mean, there's a 10-page sexual assault in it that isn't superfluous. It's not gratuitous or nothing like that. It's actually, you've got to have it there, and as brutal as it is for the rest of the film, it's an revenge tale for the rest of the book to make sense, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's just blown. It's mad. It's crazy.
It's awesome.
So I'm reeling off the back of that, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'll have to do something else that's similar. It's just like fucking scrap everything else and just start writing this one.
I'll put up some of the art of your graphic novels on this podcast when they release it, and hopefully people like take a look and they grab it. You know, the more eyes and stuff, the better.
Well, that's that. I mean, I'll be right down for, because what the covers that I've sent you, they're like me novels. So what I'll do is I'll send you me graphic novels as well. I didn't realize that you were more into your graphic novels.
Well, I'm into both. You know, like right now I write, and then originally I was going to do like 30 illustrations, but since each illustration takes me like 3 days just to do the illustration, you know, I narrowed it down to about 9. So I do about 9 per 300, page book. And that kind of like fills, that niche for me. And then I like paint the cover and I paint the back cover and stuff. But, like that's kind of what I've arrived at the medium. So, I get to tell the story and go in depth with all the text, and I don't have to do all the little storyboards, which I've done that before. And that, I did that for TAM magazine for years, and it like sucks the soul out of you. You're kind of bored. You're like, okay, well they run to this corner. Okay, they run to this corner. You're like, I just want to get something exciting,
Yeah, you want to get to the meat and gravy of it all, don't you? You know what I mean? You don't want to be asked with the potatoes and veg. Just get right into the meat. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah.
Happy days. Yeah. So it's as you say, it's crazy that just one little thing can
spark you.
Can explode. Yeah. So the graphic novel I'm working on at the moment is it's a super villain. So it's like a bit of a horror, but it's also like she's not super villain. She's got like extraordinary. Well, she has got extraordinary powers, but it's not like set in a world where there's Superman and Spider-Man and stuff like that. So it's like a strong female character, because I went with that because of the manga style that the guy's doing for me, and it really fits really well. So I'll send you some of the stuff that I've got for that one.
Oh, great. Yeah, there's some really strong female characters. I like when people put in really strong characters and don't feel like people are preaching to you. Like Alien with Ridley from Alien. Yeah. I mean, you can't beat how tough she is. Or like Sarah Connor from the Terminator. She's amazing. So it's like I feel like that's great, because you have somebody that you wouldn't even expect to be that strong, and they totally surprise you. And you're like, wow, that person, that person can handle it. Yeah,
without it forcing an issue. Do you know what I mean? Like there's my agenda.
Yeah,
let's fit the woman into this agenda. No, I like in a couple of my books, I've got a couple of like really strong female characters in my books, and it's not because I want to push that strong female agenda. I'm not asked either way. It's just the way that way the book works out, and the way it pans out, and the way it works.
Right. Well, I'm not saying you're pushing an agenda. I'm just saying I like it. People don't. It's like, dude, if I want to listen to a political lecture, I'll go listen to a political lecture. If I want to be entertained,
exactly.
I can, like I remember, like in Star Trek, they had the first like interracial kiss. I was like, that's great. That just happened. It was organic. But like I didn't feel like they're trying to preach to me.
Yeah. Because I always think that, because it's funny you should say that because I'm actually rewatching the original series
Okay.
of Star Trek right now. I've just finished series one. The one where they got them parasites that just look like little plastic things that's stuck on Spock's back.
Yeah, I've
The
not seen
special
that.
effects are just the special effects are brilliant. But if you look at Star Trek, right, and you know the everyone was pushing the agenda with Uhura was the first like Native American Indian, not Native American Indian, African American on with a prominent role on television. But if you watch the show, there's there's an awful lot more going on in the background. There's like they've got Asians, they've got like well, they've got Chekhov who's a Russian and stuff like that. And it wasn't an agenda. It was just that
Like
they were there,
Chekhov,
and there was
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and there was no bother that they were there. They were just there, and that when you think about when that came out, and you know the zeitgeist of the nation at that time, it must have just been blowing people's minds that these like you know these people are the same as us. Yeah, crazy.
But it's funny because like people like they look at Star Trek as like this great space adventure. They don't look at it like, oh yeah, it was trying to cram down something on me. So
Yeah,
that's what I like. I like stories. I like well told stories. I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
like it when people like rep it in general, like, oh, we got to put a story to like help promote it, but the real key is not the story. No, the real key should be the story.
Yeah, yeah, straight away, right across the board, right across the board. And I think that's what I'm not a massive fan of the Marvel universe, because the early the early films, I just thought, do you know what they've done? They've made it look fantastic. They got all this boss special effects. They got all these stars working in them, and it was like, oh, do you know what we forgot to do? We forgot to get a story writer in. So there's no, yeah. So there's no story. It looked
There
brilliant.
there are a couple that are great, like Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought was
Oh,
great,
yeah, I loved them. I loved the
but
three of them. Yeah,
like Thor really bugged me because like I'm Norwegian, so like I've read all the myths that it's based off of, and I'm like,
yeah,
this is not that guy. This is not
yeah,
even close. Like they heavily altered it just for Hollywood. They're like, well, he's going to fall for the like pretty girl that looks nothing like the girl he was actually in love with, and
yeah,
he's going to be this. He's not going to like the original Thor had red hair. He has blonde hair. I mean,
yeah.
what is it? Chris Hemsworth. He's great for the character, but I think they should have dyed his hair. But that's a minor issue. I'm just like he's not acting like
He's not. Yeah,
the.
but it's like the ones that I thought that he got perfect were Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. I
Yeah.
thought that's it. Them series that they did,
Oh,
and
I
even
love Luke Cage. Luke Cage was
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
absolutely and utterly phenomenal. And
Right.
then they did the Punisher, and then they did
I thought Iron Man was great. Like that was a perfect pick for Iron Man. He's like sarcastic, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. The very first one, but then I thought the second one was just like, and then they completely
Yeah.
and utterly ruined the Mantis, didn't they? In number
Well,
three,
I think it's a perfect like they had who they have Mickey Rourke in the second one. Yeah, like I thought that it was Iron Man was a perfect character, but the stories weren't that strong. Like in
mm,
Marvel has this thing where they like to always have you fight evil version of yourself. Like
yeah,
the Iron
yeah,
Man is like his like business partner gets his old Iron Man costume, so one Iron Man fights another, and then like with one of the Hulk movies, like the Hulk fights like kind of
Hulk
a version
fights his
of the
brother.
Hulk, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, come on, get past this. I mean, if it was the first time it was ever done, okay, but you do it every time, it's like,
every time. But
okay,
it's
what
like,
are you gonna do now? Yeah.
yeah, but it's like as I say, they forgot to get it. They forgot to get story writers in. They just like, oh shit. You could just imagine like the day before they started filming, and he went, "Oh, this is going to be boss." And he goes, "Where's the script? Script? I haven't got a fucking script." Yeah. So like they just
Well,
like sort of like scribbled it together. Here's what we're doing. Just go bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
I
Just be
think one
nothing.
problem too is like Hollywood thinks they're smarter than the writer, and they never are. But like
No,
like if
no.
you look at like Game of Thrones was I thought it was amazing right up until they ran out of the source material, and they really
Yep.
tried to like do it on their own, and they just
just fell flat, didn't it?
They nuked the fridge, as they say, you know.
Yeah. They jumped the shark.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
no,
know after
you're
Indiana
100%
Jones,
right.
like the term for like totally destroying something is nuke the fridge. Because I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but like he's in
yeah.
like a nuclear test village and they
And
nuke
he
it.
hides in the fridge
Yeah,
and it tumbles. Yeah. Yeah. And he just kicks it out and he's like, yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, boss.
yeah. That first
Yeah.
Indiana Jones was so good. That one was so bad.
Oh, do you know what though? I've got to admit that I've got a soft spot for all the Indiana Jones films, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially that last one. I just loved it. Proper sitting there like that. Come on, Indy.
I remember being a little kid and seeing Temple of Doom in the theaters, and when he pulls that guy's heart out, I was like, "Holy
Oh,
shit!" Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Soft spot for them. Yeah, right away across the board.
So let's get back to you for a minute. You said you're coming out with a graphic novel right now. And
Yeah, no, it's still in process. It's called Dreamcatcher. It's over 3 parts. So what I've got called Dreamcatcher Rise. What's the second part called? Dreamcatcher. I can't remember what the second part's called, and the third part is Dreamcatcher Legacy. And it's a arc right the way across from how she becomes Dreamcatcher and what she does while she's Dreamcatcher, and then what happens after Dreamcatcher. So yeah, it's. I was initially going to bring it out as 3 comics, but they turned out to be like 75 pages per comic, and I just thought, oh, that's fucking going to cost me a fucking arm and a leg. I'm going to have to remortgage the house. So I've spread it over. I've thought I'll bring them all out at the same time, but I've spread it over a few years. So we've got the first one's finished, the second one's done except for the lettering, and then I've just got to I'm going to start commissioning the guy to start doing the final part, and then yeah, and then that's all I can do for. I mean, I've got about 4 or 5 other graphic novels written.
It might take off. Like Mike Mignola was kind of like working in the trenches, and then Hollywood came calling for Hellboy, and he's been singing that Hellboy money ever since.
Yeah,
So,
if it did, I would love that because there's nothing I love better than sitting down and doing panel by panel by panel by panel scripting. I love it.
okay.
But as I say, it's just not at this moment in time. It's not worth me time because I can't sell it.
Right.
And it does me head in.
It's not financially rewarding enough for you to go, this is, my soul like agenda right now. Are you writing like text novels while you're doing this graphic novel?
Yeah. Well, the graphic novel's already written.
Okay.
So that's written and that's sort of like back in the background. And as soon as I've got a bit of wedge together to start paying the artist again, then I can get that finished. But I'm writing text novels constantly. I've got 15 out at the moment, and I must have another 25 in different drafts already written, and I'm always thinking of another one. So
that's awesome.
I've just thought, I've just got an idea for one now, which is it's kind of based on the date. It's called the Glampires.
Okay.
And it's like it's going to be based in like late 70s, early 80s Los Angeles, up and down the Sunset Strip.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like it when people they kind of bring that retro atmosphere into it.
Yeah. I love that. Been to California, only the once, and I absolutely, and I fell in love with the Sunset Strip. I fell in love with the history of it. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I've been into all the glam metal rock bands and all the heavy metal bands and that from the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. It was just a mecca for me. Do you know what I mean? It was like someone going to Graceland.
Kind of like a lost moment in time, like Taxi Driver New York or something,
Exactly, yeah. And like the way that they got it, the way that they got that right for the film Joker. That's what I want to do for this book, The Glampires.
Yeah. I really thought Joker was a great movie. I just didn't think it was a Batman movie. You know, like it was a good movie. It's just like the Joker's old, like Batman is still like a kid. It's like
Yeah.
you know, Alan Moore did this great, you know, like origin story for the Joker and the Killing Joke. So I was like,
Brilliant.
great movie, but I didn't think it was a Batman movie.
Yeah. No, I think it. This is my take on it. Is that Joaquin Phoenix's take on the Joker is going to be almost like the prequel to the actual Joker that the Batman fights later on. And I don't think they're going to go down that route with the films, but that's the way I look at it. I look at it as he was the original model that the Joker's obviously seen because they saw the way Gotham City was. And then this Joker's gone, fucking hell, I'm taking what he's done and I'm taking it to the nth level. That's the way I see it.
Like I saw, I don't know if you saw it. It's I thought it was a reboot of the movie Evil Dead, and I actually heard it was a sequel to the movie Evil Dead. So if you saw like Evil Dead 2, and you see like they have a car they leave outside the cabin, and in the remake of Evil Dead, you know, they like it's a bunch of different people, but that car is still there,
still the same. Yeah.
I heard it's supposed to be like a new group of people visits the cabin and the car's there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Every now and again, Hollywood throws out a boss film, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It throws out a great film, but then it milks it, and you know, and then it becomes not so great.
You get sequels like Pumpkinhead 5 and like Hellraiser 5, and you're like, all right, man, time to end the franchise.
Time to move on. That's the whole thing. Coming down to what we were talking about before about at a Comic-Con, if you haven't got a copy of a Thor comic or or the Avengers or something like that, then people aren't interested because they've already bought into them characters. So Hollywood knows they bring out Freddy Krueger 436. People are still going to go and see it.
It'll sell. It has a record of selling, even if it's crap. Yeah.
They're not asked about the art anymore. They're asked about the money at the bottom end. Yeah.
Well, it seems it goes in waves. Like, Hollywood does that, or like corporate media does that, and then all of a sudden, like you'll have like independents that break the mold, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, and then Hollywood's like, or The Crow, and they're like, oh wait, this is the next wave, and then so all these indie artists get in, and then Hollywood try to take over with like their bullshit again, and like up and down.
Yeah, it's like they get a great idea, and then they milk it until it dies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're like, oh, that's shit. That's so last year. Let's go and bring out another Halloween series. And
we'll bring out Halloween like 15 or whatever. Like now he plays Jamie Lee Curtis again. She's still not dead.
Controversially, like, and everybody whenever I say this, everyone goes, "What?" I can't stand the Halloween franchise. I absolutely hate it. The only Halloween films I really like are the Rob Zombie ones, and people go, "You like Halloween too?" And I'm
that is controversial, but I actually agree with you. Like, I don't hate them, but I'm like, I'm indifferent. But I actually like the Rob Zombie ones because they're like, it seems like he, even though it's not the original story, he generated a new story, which I thought was more in depth, and like he's obviously a fan, so he was deeply involved.
A few years ago, I said to me, Mrs. She'd never seen one of the films, and I said, right, we're going to watch Halloween, the very first one, the John Carpenter one. Said, and you know what, you can sit next to me on the couch and you can put your arms around me if you want and hug me if you're scared and stuff like that. And she was like, oh yeah, this is going to be boss. And we watched it and we were like,
well, it's of his era,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Obviously, yeah. I mean, it completely, and it was low budget and stuff like that. And for what it was brilliant. And for what it spawned, it spawned.
Well, have her watch The Thing if she wants to see a really good John Carpenter movie.
Yes, that is just one of the best films ever, isn't it?
Or They Live. Yeah, like he made some like true classics. But I mean,
it's a chew gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of gum. I love that.
like I'm all, he's like, I came here to do bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Superb.
All right, man. Let's. I don't want to run this too long, so let's wrap it up. Do you have social media links that people can see?
Yeah, I'm all over. I'm all over Facebook. I do my own profile, which is D E McLusky. And I've also got another one which is for like Damaged Productions, which is what I bring my books out with. It's Damage is spelled with a double M, so it's DAMMAGED. Damaged
Okay.
Productions. Yeah, I used to be on Twitter, but I think I've killed Twitter now. I can't
Well,
be bothered with
now
that
it's
anymore.
X. Now it's X. You know.
It's
So.
oh yeah, it's X now. Yeah, so yeah. I'm an ex Twitter. Yeah, that's yeah.
Bum, bum.
Yeah.
So, are you on Instagram, or do you do this little dance
Yeah,
on TikTok? You know.
well, I try to do unsolicited nudity on TikTok, but it doesn't work. No, I'm on TikTok and I do like some stupid things, but I don't even know why I'm on it. My daughter looks at me and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm going, "I'm recording a TikTok." And she's like, "Dad, fuck off, please don't."
Well,
Don't embarrass me
Jeff
online.
Strand, I don't know if you've promoted with him, but he did some of the funny stuff on TikTok.
No, he's funny fella though, isn't he?
Yeah, like he rewrote the new version of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. He just wonders he's being pelted by tomatoes.
Yeah.
While he's holding a book. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I really do mean to do an awful lot more on it, but I just haven't yet. I haven't embraced it. Yeah. But I'm there. I'm up there. I'm on that new one. What's that new one? Threads or whatever it's called. I haven't got a clue what my handle is on that one. But
and they have ones that they come in and out of popularity. So like Vines or Threads or whatever. So it's popular. And by the time you hear about it, it's already not popular.
Exactly. Mate, I turned 50 last month. So I'm far too old to be going on to all these new social media. I'm very soon be called what's called a silver surfer. I used to give me dad's grief about it. Yeah.
That's a movie they can't get right, but
oh no, they'll never get that right though, will they? Because they'll always go with the wrong concept for it.
Yeah, it's more of a combo character. It's hard to really capture that.
Yeah.
But all right, so how can people get a hold of you if they want to see your stuff, if they want to work with you, if they want to maybe
I'm on
amazing artists like, hey man, let's do a graphic novel with you.
I'm on Facebook constantly, right? Because in my 9-to-5 day job, which I hate,
what is it?
I can't tell you. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. I'd have to come all the way over to New York and kill you. Yeah, no. I work for the hidden government, don't I? But so I'm on Facebook constantly all the time. So if anybody, I work from home, so I'm so bored during the day. If anybody messages me, I message them straight back. So yeah, D E McLusky is my profile on Facebook, and if you want to get me on that one because I will reply.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Do you have a website or Amazon author page or anything like that?
Yep, got both. I've got the website, which is www.damaged.com. And I'm on me Amazon author page is just D E McLusky.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so
Yeah.
Everybody check that out. Check out his graphic novels. You need to buy his graphic. People don't buy enough good graphic novels. They buy all the crappy ones. But thank you very much, man. Yeah. Thank you for doing this.
John, it's been boss, mate. Thank you for having me on. And I've really, really enjoyed it, fella.
Okay, awesome.